Hey everybody, welcome to Inspire Your Success podcast. My name is Michael Leonard, former corporate zombie turned lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm on a mission to inspire millions of people to stop settling for average and create the life that you deserve. Each week, I'll be bringing on world-class experts, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to give you the inspiration to take massive action. I'm confident these successful people will give you the spark to create an epic life and business. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Here's your episode. Hey everybody, welcome back, and excited as always for these guest interviews. It's really cool to get to speak with some of the most successful people in their industries, and the great part with the internet and technology, it can be halfway around the world. So today's interview is Michael Zeller, who is located on the East Coast, and he is someone that I just reached out to on Instagram. I've been following him for a long time. Love his content on there. Really practical, smart, great entrepreneurial and life advice. So I know today's interview is going to be one that you're going to love and probably want to listen to a few times and start taking some of the tips and applying them directly to your life. So Michael Zeller is an entrepreneur who is in several different industries, and he's really out to help other entrepreneurs and people level up their life. He's been featured in Business Insider, Goalcast, Huffington Post, and other huge publications. In the episode today, I think you'll really take away the importance of a few things. The first off is the importance of investing in yourself. And I've talked about this in a solo episode, and a lot of my guests talk about this as well. But Michael really dives in and talks about what it was like to travel the world with Tony Robbins in his Platinum Partnership program, as well as other ways to improve your life on a daily basis and how to really level up. And he talks a lot about morning routines and different tactics and strategies that he's used over the years, and ones that he teaches in his masterminds as well. And lastly, I think you're going to really understand what it means to align with your life and your passions, and how to find your zone of genius. Enjoy the episode. All right. Well, today I want to introduce you to Michael Zeller. Michael, thanks again for being here.
Michael, likewise. Excited to be here. Can't wait to connect and dive in. And I know you're up to some great things, so I can't wait to see where we go.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So love to kind of learn a little bit about like what you're doing right now, so that way we can go back in time. But love to know what kind of entrepreneurial journey you're on right now, and what are some of the projects that you're working on that really excite you?
Yeah, great question. So first one that I would mention is a company called Life Guides. We just got $1.5 million of investment money literally between Friday and Tuesday of this week. We literally got that next round of funding. We already raised $2 million, and we just got our next $1.5 million chunk. So it's been fun to be a part of that project, and I've never been a part of a project like that, you know, we've raised a lot of good angel money, and we're well designed for a Series A. But, you know, other elements, I have a high-level mastermind called Rising Stars Mastermind. I've been strategically advising Goalcast for about 10 or 11 months. They're one of the most viral video platforms on Facebook in the world, and I just love connecting with, at any given week, I'm connecting with 10 to 20 to 30 different entrepreneurs in a pretty high level. And that's my tribe. That's my people. So
that's fantastic. I didn't realize that about Goalcast. I'm a writer for them, and absolutely love the site. That was one of the first self-improvement and sites that I ever started following. They got amazing content.
Yeah, they do. They do a great job with it for sure. So.
Perfect. Well, cool. So how did all this get started? Were you someone that you considered like a born entrepreneur? Were you selling lemonade on the side of the streets, or were you someone that found it a little later on in life?
Yeah, I would say I didn't really fully embrace my own entrepreneurial journey until my late 20s. I saw that I would one day own a business, but I thought I would like climb the corporate ladder and, you know, be the executive, et cetera, you know, that type of deal by the time I was 30. But by the time I was 30, I was already out on my own for 3 years. And at that time, just selling real estate. I was a realtor with a small team, you know, small staff. But, you know, early on, I was always hungry, motivated. I was like, man, I want to do great things. I want to make something of my life.
Fantastic. And when you said you were well into it by your 30s, was there a time then, so you were working a 9 to 5 for a while, and then eventually you just found that you wanted to take it out on your own?
Yeah, good question. So right after grad school, I got my undergrad in business, master's in Christian leadership, which is like an MBA with a theology twist. Then I went into various sales roles. I did a stint while I was in grad school at a car dealership of all places, but I was only there for 3 or 4 months. And I did campus ministry, other types of ministry. Then I eventually, I even had 7 years where I worked in the restaurant industry in various roles. And then while I was in college and grad school, of course, too. And then eventually, dove into real estate. Like I realized one of my early mentors, he said, Mike, 97% of America's millionaires made their millions in real estate. So I was like, that's a pretty powerful stat. So whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it laid the foundation for me. And I started, I bought my first house while I was actually waiting tables at P.F. Chang's, and then bought some more property, started as a mortgage loan officer, then became a realtor, and then just kept buying properties here and there, and had a decent little investment portfolio, and have done really well with real estate overall. I've had a couple of losses, but most of them have been very good returns. And now, I'm also laying the groundwork for a lot of other ventures. I have equity in 10 different ventures now, and it's fun to help a bunch of other businesses grow and scale too.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like you worked in a lot of different industries. What I think it's hard for people to succeed in even one. What do you think made you successful in several different ones, or was there some trait that you think is really just needed for anyone?
Yeah, great question. So actually, you posted something from Tom Bilyeu today that was relevant on your IG feed. And, first you got to figure out, hey, business is not that complicated in general. The principles are the same. The methods are many, but the principles are few. And you look, all right, first you find out, hey, what is it that someone wants? Where's their need? How can I serve and provide solutions to that need? And then you do it, and you do it. Yeah. And now I think it goes a lot better when you're doing it around something that you're really passionate and gifted at. Like right now, I love doing the entrepreneurship coaching that I get to do with some CEOs and founders, and get to do through my mastermind. I get to do some great stuff with my marketing agency. But I'm not good at everything. If you wanted me to do some medical services and create a medical services company or an accounting firm, dude, I'd be banging my head against the wall. Do not make me do that, right? But I think it's fairly simple. Find an area that you're passionate about or that you enjoy. Figure out where the pain point is and where people struggle and where the market is underserved, and provide a winning solution. And if you can't, then pivot. find something else until you do. So
right. 100%. No, I totally agree with the passion thing. I think that, so many people are out there working in industries they don't like, jobs they don't like. They're trying to pay the bills and have that mentality. What do you think when people say, oh, I don't really know what my passions are. I don't know how I could make money on it. And I feel like that holds so many people back. I mean, you read year after year, 70, 80% of people don't like what they're doing, which is the majority of their days, their weeks, their months. It's just so frustrating. So what do you tell people that are thinking, I just can't do it. I have to do this, or because I went to school for this?
I think that's certainly BS. And I think a lot of people have not sat down and actually reflected. Yeah, like human beings, we have the amazing capacity to think and to reflect. Yet so often we do not. And if you think about it, like how many people have actually done a personality test, and how many people have done like all 5 or 6 of the main ones out there? Not very many, right? And that's why one of the core processes I love to do is I call it the zone of genius, discovering your zone of genius. And it's going to be where your skill sets or your genius ability matches your values, which match where there's a marketplace problem. So you figure out, hey, there's a challenge here. A lot of people need this. My zone of genius helps with this, and my values match. Boom. Now I step into it. So I think if you lock into who you're really truly gifted to be, man, you get aligned around your passion. You get fired up. I'm fired up pretty much every day, even if I have to deal with problems and issues. I'm inspired because I'm aligned.
I love that. No, I think that's so true. And like, you're right. Most people just have too much noise going on all the time. They wake up and social media and then listen to family, friends, more media, and not enough people are spending that time to really just find what is their goal. And I struggle with that too. And so I think that is a really, really big step that I hope people can take away too. Mm-hmm. So what made you start were you always someone that was really into self-improvement and developing yourself? I know you said you went to grad school, so obviously you have a lot of education. Was this something that you just started on your own, or did you grow up in a background that really implemented, a lot of reading and self-education as well?
Yeah. Growing up, like, my parents definitely encouraged learning, but I would say I became more obsessed with it when I went to, it was actually my second seminar that I went to. My first one was a Peter Lowe one-day success seminar, and it was a success, that's all it was, and it had like 8 different speakers come in, like Zig Ziglar and Colin Powell and those type guys. And they all talked about spending time to think, spending time to read, time to learn, keep investing in your habits, And then I went to Brian Tracy's seminar when I was 20. And he said, you know what, if you read a book a month in your chosen field, you'll become an expert in that field within 3 years. I was like, that's 36 books. Maybe I can read 36 books in a year. I don't want to wait 3 years. That's way too long. And the income scale is you're disproportionately paid if you're an expert. The top 1% is paid much different than the bottom 50%. And look at LeBron James, right? Look at these athletes, Steph Curry, whatever. So I dove into just reading books at that time, I was like, leadership was one of my obsessions. Then sales and marketing and human psychology, relationships. Now it's entrepreneurship, leadership of organizations, things like that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think it's good to have a wide range too of different topics, because it's easy to just try to hone in on something you're comfortable with. But sometimes when you can get in that other category, you can start to mix ideas and have a lot more ideas coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. What made you start going to seminars? I know you've you said worked with Tony Robbins as well. You went to Brian Tracy. It sounds like you've done a lot. So what made you start really studying these successful people and investing in yourself with seminars and masterminds as well? Yeah.
Well, one of the statements that comes to mind that is kind of a life principle for me: feed what you want to live, starve what you want to die. So, you know what? I want to grow. I think one of life's, Tony Robbins talks about one of the 6 core needs is growth. And man, when we're growing, like you think about it, when we're like 4 or 5 or 6 years old, man, life is full of wonder and excitement, because you're discovering like this caterpillar, you're discovering, all these little things, right? Because you're growing and you're discovering things. But you look at the older generation or someone that's just kind of been going through the motions of life, in our generation too, it's like they're not growing much. And I don't want to accept that as my reality. You can create your own reality. So I just made it a must to grow. It's a decision that this is what feeds me, and this is what I'm going to do. And so and I can grow really fast. And then if I let off the gas, guess what? I slow down. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if I just went to, I've been to well over 100 seminars.
Wow.
In the course of my life. I've spent, I don't know, probably close to $500,000 on my own growth. It's like, I'm not done. I got a lot more to spend. Right. I got a lot more to learn. So the prices only get higher right now for me.
I love that. So. Yeah, Tony Robbins talks about that a lot. He says, I didn't go to just one seminar and here I am. It's just repetition over and over again. That's That's impressive. So I know you worked with Tony as well, like with the Platinum Partnership. I've always just been curious, like what it was like to invest in yourself at that next level. Cause I think for me, I started with some books, and then it led to a seminar and masterminds. And so I'm always trying to figure out what that next step is. And like you mentioned, it does get more expensive, but you're also getting a lot more from it. And so I'd love to hear about some of those adventures.
Yeah. So when I signed up for Tony, that year I was going through like broken engagement. My businesses were in the gutter the first 4 months of the year. I literally did not make any money the first 4 months of the year.
When was this?
This is 2013.
Okay.
But then I set a goal. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make $100,000 in 3 months for the first time. I did that. This was earlier in the year that I was like, you know what? I'm going to crush it. I'm going to rebuild my life, myself stronger and better than ever. I did that. Then by the end of the year, I ended up making $210,000 that year. That was my first year crossing the $200,000 mark. But I was at a Tony event late that year, and I was in London at his business master event, and I just felt convicted. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be great, I've got to get this. If I'm going to not just be comfortable being good, if good is not good enough, if I truly want to be outstanding, I got to like rewire my emotional norm, my emotional home. And I got to step up. And I think Tony, is the best of the world in transforming your emotional home. And so I was like, dude, his platinum partner, I don't know how I'm going to pay for it, because it was half of my income is what I was committing to. It was like, it's $100,000 a year. I made 210. How am I going to pay for that? I don't know, with all my other expenses, but I figured it out, and I doubled my income, doubled my net worth the next year just through one single business deal that I did. And as a result, I rewired my emotional home and stayed for another year just to anchor it even deeper. And now I've been part of, Lewis Howell's mastermind for 2 years, which has been a terrific experience, and done strategic coach to next and created my own mastermind. But it's like, the question is like, what am I really committed to? And we show the world what we're committed to by our pocketbooks, by our decisions, by our actions. And I knew that there were, like, one of the convictions I had, it was, hey, one of my passions is clean water wells. Like, if I don't step up, there's literally going to be millions of people that will not have clean drinking water because I was too chicken shit and sitting on the sidelines. So I decided I've got to be resolved to bring out the best in me. So yeah, I got a few other details, but I'll come back to those, because I imagine you might have a question or two about that. So
no, I love that you attached it to something more than just yourself, that, this is a cause you believe in, and there's going to be people suffering from it. I think that's something I've struggled with sometimes too. And I know a lot of people haven't really found exactly what that is going to make them wake up at 4 a.m. or spend that extra money on themselves. Is there anything that you think people can do? Is it just finding what really matters to them, or attaching it to a person, or do you really believe in that, finding your why for a bigger purpose?
Yeah, I don't think any of us are going to be as extraordinary as we can be unless we're driven by a bigger why beyond ourselves. Self-actualization and fulfillment is one piece, but you know what, unless it's, your family, your loved one, or other people a cause, you're just not going to be compelled. And I knew, while I was in the Platinum Partner Program, I was like, I didn't feel like I belonged at the beginning. I feel like I snuck in. I maxed out my credit cards to get in, and I had a few months where I was like, guys, I need to skip this month of payment and put it at the end, because I don't have the money for the, $5,000 a month, and sometimes the $10,000, weekends that I have to spend for Platinum Partner. And, but it ended up by the end of the year, my identity had shifted. And, who we're around is who we become. And it's the same thing. Like, I know you're into fitness too, and health and wellness. And it's like, man, if I hang around a lot of people that just, all they do is drink beer and pound whiskey and eat fried foods and burgers and fries all the time, guess what? I'm probably going to feel sluggish, and I'm probably going to do the same thing. So Same thing in business, as we know. So I think I'd say arguably it's the number one key to our success is who we surround ourselves with.
Perfect. I love that you brought up the identity as well. I think that so many people try to change, but their subconscious and their identity is still someone else. So I think it is super important, like you mentioned, to keep getting outside of it and reshaping it, because it does take work, right? It's not something that you just go to one day event and you're healed and you're ready to go. I'm curious with that. When you had those moments like where you were like, man, I can't make the payment, and but you know this is a good investment, because I've been in similar situations. What kind of self-talk were you having? Were you thinking, hey, I'm going to do it, it's just taking a little longer, or were you starting to get a little antsy?
Yeah, you have moments of doubt, and you have moments of will I get to the other side? Is it worth it? Those things. But I think at the end of the day, I would always come back to, I know I'm going to figure it out. I know it's worth it. I know I'm worth it. Oftentimes, like, I reminded a couple guys that I'm consulting. They run a company with 30 employees, and reminding them last night, hey, to go where I've never gone, I've got to do what I've never done. And I was like, guys, I know this is uncomfortable for you, but you know what? Are you worth it? Do you believe you're worth it? I believe you are. But heck, do you want to go to the next level? And are you willing to declare, hey, I'm worth it? It's actually that I've had 3 mastermind members this year, before their first weekend, they broke income records. Because we worked on the shift of I'm worth it, and I can raise my prices, and I can get what I'm worth. So that's a big piece of it,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's powerful. And I think that kind of transfers well into like entrepreneurship in general. I think a lot of people want to get started, but if you don't have that framework, like we were just talking about, it can be a really tough process. Entrepreneurship in general can have a lot of ups and downs. It's not clock in, clock out, go home and sit on the couch anymore. It's night and day, and it's going to require a lot more work. So what do you think are some of the fundamentals it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, or for someone that is just getting started and really wanting to grow their business?
First one is just start. So just dive in. The shit's gonna hit the fan. You're gonna make mistakes. Embrace the art of failing forward. So that's the first kind of philosophical piece, and then embrace the first 80% as well, which is part of that. Which is, how do I get something complete? Like, most of the time, perfectionists. Do you struggle with procrastination or perfectionism?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna do a little hot seat on you for a second. Then
that's fine.
All right. So when you struggle, what do you tend to procrastinate on right now, Michael?
Procrastinate on probably an online course that I'm launching.
Okay. What holds you back?
I'd say it's just believing like, hey, have I done it well enough to help others enough?
Okay. And so it's like you're aiming for this perfect standard almost
100%.
For where you're at right now. Okay. So would you like to overcome that, or would you like to stay where you're at right now?
Absolutely not. Doing anything I can to overcome it.
All right. So let me ask you this. If I give you a process to overcome it, are you willing to actually model it and do it and shift your mindset around it?
100%. As soon as the call is over, I'd start.
So, all right. So here's the process, and it's one of the foundational keys to GE's Six Sigma process. Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
Okay. GE's Six Sigma process is arguably one of the world's leading processes to get to excellence, to get to perfection, which is your goal, right? You want to get it perfect as quickly as possible. So here's what it is. It's, how do I get something to 80% completion as quickly as possible? So I want to get first round, 80% completion. All right. Then it might be someone else taking it another 80% improvement. So it's like, how do I improve it 80%? Round 2. So they improve it another 80% again. The psychology, if I'm aiming for 100% the first time, we never get there. It's too hard. There's too many variables. And especially if it's all dependent on me, right? That's the limiting factor, is Most of the time it's dependent on me, and I'm usually not capable of getting it to 100% by myself. So the second person takes it, or the second iteration takes it to the next 80%. Guess what? An 80% improvement on the first 80% is what? That puts you at, you know what the percentage?
I don't know.
96%.
Okay.
All right. So I'm pretty close, right?
Yeah.
That's not bad. Third iteration, another 80% improvement. Fourth iteration, another 80% improvement. Fifth iteration, another 80% improvement. Sixth iteration, another 80% improvement. There, that's the summary of GE's Six Sigma process, where they get to the fewest parts per million as defects.
Okay.
Is they're embracing how to just improve at 80%.
Absolutely. And I completely relate to that. And I was actually just working with a few other entrepreneurs yesterday who are trying to get their first online course created, and everybody wants perfect. It's this software doesn't work, or this isn't, I don't know how to do this, or, well, I can't do that, or I haven't figured out how to use a funnel or clickbait, ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, how long have you been thinking about this? And she's like, well, like 7-8 months. I'm like, well, what would have life been like if you created it 4 months ago? Like, and you were helping people and making income. And she's like, yeah, you're right. And I fought that as well. And so I think that's really cool to not get it to 100%, because 100% does feel like a lot of work, especially if it's all on you.
Yeah. And we never get it to 100%.
Right. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So aim for that. I promise you do that, changes the game.
Perfect. What do you think about deadlines? Or is that something you really stress a lot of? Having urgency?
I think there is some elements of deadlines that do help, and I am for deadlines because it just helps me with a tangible goal, because otherwise we want to it helps fight the procrastination as well, right? So I like deadlines.
Perfect. Yeah, it's I always read with Craig Ballantyne's book. He always talks about, like, have that vacation deadline. Whenever you have a vacation, it feels like you have so much to do, but somehow always gets done. So try and have that more. Perfect.
Yeah,
What do you think as far as, like, being an entrepreneur and getting started? You've talked a lot about masterminds so far today, so I'd love to know what do you think is so important about being with a group of 8 to 10 people? I know you've talked about how successful you just get from being in proximity, but how can people, like, get started? And why don't you think more people do it? Because, to be honest with you, I was in a 9-to-5 for 20, or I was up until I was 29 years old. I don't think I'd ever heard of a mastermind until I read Think and Grow Rich. Like, it just isn't something that people were talking about, and probably because I wasn't hanging out with anyone that was doing them. But yeah, just, I don't know, give me your thoughts kind of on that, and how people can make huge growths in a very short time with those.
Yeah, I think it's getting clarity on who you want to become, and then where are those people. And then, you know what, committing to get around those people. Like, if I look at some of the people I've connected with, some of the relationships I've built, I'd say 80% of the results I have in my life right now, where, like, that company that we just closed $1.5 million in funding, man, I met the founder at a mastermind. It's a technology mastermind that I've been a part of for 2 years. And then he invited me to be a CMO and partner up with him on this venture. And I think we've got to decide, am I going to do what it takes? And then find those people. It's like, there are people locally, like you're in Scottsdale. What if you created an entrepreneur mixer once a month, whether, cocktails or not, doesn't matter, but, you do an entrepreneur mixer. What if you do, create your own mastermind to get around other peers that are going in the same direction? It's like this game of entrepreneurship is lonely. It's hard. It's discouraging. It's really bumpy at times, and you get around some other people, you experience both the triumph and the failure. And you got people around you to cheer you on in both ways, and you need it. And then I would say, wherever you're at, invest in yourself. Whether the stretch for you is to buy another book on Kindle or another Audible book, or to do a $99 course. It's like some of the earliest things I did were, I kept signing up for courses and programs and just learning and growing, because, hey, if my expertise gets better, guess what? I get to command. I have certain things I do right now that I can essentially earn $10,000 an hour equivalent. Now that's always equity type ventures, generally, but you know what? I got $5,000 activities that generate real cash of $5,000 in my bank account when I do certain things. So,
and you wouldn't have had that had you not done that investment.
No. If I stayed complacent and even if I just read books, what I would have, I look at books as like the daily incremental improvements. Podcast, that's an incremental improvement. But if I want to grow leaps and bounds, like Tim Ferriss talks about, hey, have you read any of Tim's books?
Yes, love. I think 4 Hour Work Week was one of the first ones, and then it's Tribe of Genius or Tribe of Mentors and everything else. I love his work.
Yeah. Do you remember when he says about learning a foreign language in 4 Hour Chef?
I don't think I read the 4 Hour Chef, but I'm excited to hear about the language, because I was once kicked out of Spanish because the teacher told me to try a new language because I was so bad. So
wow, that's pretty bad. So in terms of language, if I want to learn a language, then you know what? I don't want to go to one class once every 2 weeks for an hour or two. And Tim talks about, hey, go to that country, speak only that language, be there for a month and a half, and within a month and a half of studying it, learning it, speaking it, you're conversationally fluent. You can get fluent, conversationally adept and fluent within a month and a half. Pretty much anyone can. It doesn't take years. And because you're immersed. Mm-hmm. That's why, I think if you really want to master the great game of business in some capacity, man, you gotta really invest in immersive experiences, conferences, retreats, masterminds, whatever it may be. Like, do something that's continuous and longer than a few hours.
Absolutely. The immersion, I have heard of that, maybe not specifically from that book, but I totally agree. And that's probably why most people can go to high school and college, take 2 years of class and not speak a word.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, that's awesome. Well, that's cool. Can you tell us a little bit about your masterminds and what kind of people that you've or how long you've been doing it and what you're currently doing? Is it monthly or quarterly? How does that all work?
Yeah, good question. So right now, I've been leading masterminds for like 5 years now that I think about it. First one that I seriously led was here in Nashville, just a free one that I led once a month for 2 hours with about 12 other top tier entrepreneurs. And I really enjoyed that and grew and generated business and had fun and made some, potentially lifelong friends out of it. So that was really valuable. But I've since shifted to just an even higher tier one, which is I have 2 primary programs, a 6-month program that's 2 mastermind weekend retreats where we kick off on a Thursday night, we wrap up Sunday morning, and I bring in guest speakers. We do hot seats, we have books, we have trainings, we have modules around shifting from a business operator to business owner, wealth mindset, escaping middle class mindset and busting through to a wealthier, abundant mindset. Developing sales and marketing mastery, right? Who if you're growing a business, you got to figure that stuff out or have someone that you're partnered with that knows how to do it. So we cover all that, both in the 6-month and the 1 year. The 1 year is a higher level commitment, higher tier individual, but 6 months really terrific as well. And then I have a funnel hacker weekend, which is all about the 4 aspects of building online programs or online sales processes. Getting your transformational story. I was here, now I'm there, story brand type stuff. Second, creating your irresistible offer. Just got a message a moment ago from Erin Diamond, one of my Rising Stars members. She launched her program this new program for couples that her and her boyfriend Jordan created, closed over $100,000 worth of business in the last 24 hours. And it was by, she already had her message down, already knew who her audience was, but she created an irresistible offer, and I coached her and her boyfriend on it a little bit, and they just got it really dialed in, nailed their audience, nailed the offer, and they already had traffic because they have a big audience. But you don't have to have a big audience. I have a friend, he did a 6-figure funnel on his first launch with 457 people in his email base.
Wow.
Boom. No social media following of anything, none of that, but he had a strong email base and he had expertise, right? This guy's an executive coach, had a real credibility. That's where, knowing your zone of genius, knowing what you're passionate about. So the Funnel Hacker Weekend is something that I also do because I love helping entrepreneurs optimize their sales programs and funnels, and if they got a great offer, man, or great service, then people need to know about it.
Fantastic. I love that. So for the people that are listening that aren't quite to the mastermind level or maybe just getting started, what are some of the daily habits that you think separate high achievers, whether it's morning routines, eating routines, eating healthy, we talked a little bit about, but I'd love to hear yours because I see a lot of it on your Instagram, which is great, and would love for other people to follow that too. Yeah,
great question, Michael. So I think it comes down to our lives are the products of our habits and our decisions every day. And so let's see, Monday, actually Sunday, I hung out with 2 entrepreneurs that both do 7 figures or multiple 7 figures in their business. We played Settlers of Catan. So I had some downtime, hung out with them for 3 or 4 hours, talked about our lives, our business, and just had fun. We're buddies, as you escalate in the tier of caliber of people you hang out with, you see as the tier goes up, the intentionality goes up. For example, that company I mentioned earlier, that I'm part of, Life Guides, our founder and CEO, he met our $1 million investor. One single guy put in $1 million for this venture this week at a CEO summit called Conscious Capitalism. So he was around other CEOs, meets this guy, they connect. He loved the mission, vision of the product. So he was in proximity, right? So I think wherever you're at, what's your next level of intentionality? Leveling up your friends, leveling up yourself, starting in the morning. It's really hard to be extraordinary if you're reactive and you start your day off reactive. These little guys, our little cell phones that we carry around and that pull us into other vortex, the Instagram, the Facebook vortex, whatever it is, Snapchat. As we get pulled into those, we have lost autonomy. When we lose autonomy and lose self-direction, and that's why the most successful people I know do not check their phone first thing in the morning. I don't even turn my phone off of airplane mode until usually 2 hours after I've already been up. Lewis Howes doesn't, so many other people, they are self-direct. They start their day feeding themselves. And you're feeding your body, feeding your mind. I don't eat fried foods. I don't drink coffee. I drink matcha lattes. I have smoothies. I have brain food. I have, a meditation. Heck, Tim Ferriss said in Tools of the Titans that every single person he's interviewed on his podcast had a meditation practice. They have intention. So many of us don't have enough intention. So someone else is setting our intentions for us. We're getting yo-yoed. Just let someone else yo-yo you around the rest of your life. And then, you know what? We'll see where you're at. You're not going to be in the place you want to be. So take control.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think was it Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar said, people don't have much plans for you, so you better have them yourself. So yeah. I love that the digital detox every day is huge. I think so many people just roll up and instantly are just reactive. And I used to do that. And since I've changed it, I created a whole course about morning rituals because it changed my life. And I wish more people would understand the importance of not it seems so minuscule. Like, oh, what is it really going to do if I check my email or Facebook? But it can have just lasting effects, and it can totally sabotage the day.
Yeah. Let me plant this other seed for you. And let me ask you this. Are you willing to be a little vulnerable here?
100%.
All right. So what percent of your income do you spend on yourself in terms of investment back in yourself right now?
More than I'm making.
All right. Well, that's probably why you've grown a ton.
Correct.
That pace is not always sustainable for, as you know.
It's getting the systems in place. But for me, if I see something that I know is going to help me and I could, for example, spend it in a savings, or I have a credit card with a 0% transfer offer. Like, I know it's going to come back. It might be a month, might be 3 months. So
exactly. I'm same way. Those things have paid off and you're young. We did it in college too. Like, right. Like, we weren't making more money from our college for a while, from our college education. But most people, for them to spend, like I had these guys up in Vancouver, they make $300,000 with their business apiece. And I was like, guys, I'm asking them to spend basically $50,000. I was like, that's, they were hung up on it. So it's 25 each. So less than 10%, but it's because they had never invested in themselves at that level. And now they're ready to pull the trigger, but I had to shift their mindset, because if they want to get to their business doing, having 100 employees and doing $1 billion in sales, they got to make some shifts, or they can stay incremental. So I think the minimum that I would say for every single person listening is at least 10% of your income, but anywhere from 10 to 50%, obviously seasons of your life, 150%, whatever it may be. I've done that myself. So, but it helps you so much. The payoff is rarely, Warren Buffett says the single best investment we ever make is in ourselves. So
that's one of my favorite quotes ever. And because you look at him and he's worth, anywhere from 70 to 80 billion, and his not talking about a stock as his best investment. That's how he made it. And so that's fantastic. Well, that's amazing. Before I get to my last question, where can people learn more about you, or where's the best place to connect with you?
Yeah, great question. MikeZeller.com, ZELLER.com, or for the mastermind, if that's intriguing to any of you guys, Rising Stars Mastermind.com. Both of them, 6-month and 12-month versions. It's for 6-figure, 7-figure earners that are crushing it. Hungry, humble, accomplished, and generous is what I look for. And I love connecting with entrepreneurs. Right now, we've had, by the time this podcast goes live, we'll have had over 100 applicants. So it's pretty fun. I'm cresting over that 100 person mark right now, and just an amazing tribe of people. But regardless, I would just challenge every single one of you guys, get yourself surrounded with great people locally, and expand beyond the local too, because that's why I go to LA, that's why I go to New York, that's why I'm I'm even going to spend next summer in Barcelona, create a little space. That's one of my goals every year is, hey, how can I live in one of the world's 50 great cities?
Wow, that's a great goal.
Every year for a month. And, this year we spent 6 weeks in Europe so far, and we still might go over for London for New Year's. But, man, you get yourself in different environments, your mind expands, your creativity, your spirit is expanded, and it's there for us, but we have to be resourceful. And resourcefulness versus when we're focused on resourcefulness, we will find a solution. So I think there's amazing things out there for each person, and it's just a matter of what do we want to take responsibility for actually accomplishing and experiencing, or do we want to make excuses? Do we love our excuses more than we love our progress?
Love that. Fantastic. We've talked about so many great things today. I know people are going to have a lot to take away from it. If someone just caught the end of it here, what do you think is the one takeaway that can really help someone level up their life and maybe start a business if they're thinking about it, or if they're already doing it? What's something that's really going to help speed up success?
I'd say decide on the caliber of influence or a caliber of influences that you want to have in your world, and choose and make it a must to find them. Meaning the mentors, the peer group, if you're in a masterminds, who are you surrounding yourself with? Because that pretty much guarantees your success. It's inevitable when you're surrounded with great people that you eventually figure it out, even if you're stumbling and bumbling along. It's like a rising tide lifts all ships. Rising tide lifts the yacht, and it lifts the little tiny fishing boat that has a leak in it or that is shabby, right? You're going to be lifted too. So choosing our environment. If we choose our environment, the other pieces come together.
Perfect. That was an incredible answer. And again, just want to extend all my gratitude today for being on the show. I know people are going to have a lot of aha moments, and I'll be sure to connect with all your resources so people can follow you in the show notes and in the blog post. So just thank you so much again.
Yeah, glad to. My pleasure, Michael.
Thanks, Michael. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode with Michael Zeller. I think he is an awesome guy. He's a very, very helpful entrepreneur, and he's out there really inspiring others to level up their business and life. So, Michael, thank you again for being on the episode. It means the world to me. And guys, remember, take some of these tips and directly improve and add them to your life right now. Quit waiting around. The time is now. Whether it's joining your first mastermind or simply waking up earlier and trying meditation out or eating healthy or whatever you want to do, make sure that you're investing in yourself and always putting yourself first, and find a way to really align your life with your passion so that way you can tap into that zone of genius. And Michael talked a ton about morning routines, which I'm a huge fan of. As you guys know, they've really impacted my life as well. So if you do want to learn more about morning routines, make sure to take a look at some of the information down in the show notes. So that way it links to some more resources there so you can get started and create the morning routine that will empower you and set you up for success. So thanks again for being here, and I hope you have an epic day. Thanks for listening to Inspire Your Success podcast with Michael Leonard. If you like this show and want to learn more, check out inspireyoursuccess.com/podcast. Also, please leave us a review on iTunes to let us know how we're doing. Join us next week for more tips and tools to help you create the life you deserve.